Time now for everyone's favorite segment of the week. It is time.
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A.
I was wondering if we were just going to keep GC up there. I noticed something that they did with that.
Ladies
it's like a picture, and then he's kind of in the picture. That's really clever.
Himself,
all right,
Ariel Helwani.
Let's get fired up.
Live from the Box Studios in beautiful New York City, it's
Let's get fired up.
And now,
anyone call me lately?
No. Get out of your seats and on your feet because here he is, Ariel Helwani.
Yeah. Do we have good questions? Does anyone look over these questions before I get to them? Is there any checks and balances?
That would be bad form.
No. Well, I don't agree with that. Happy birthday to The Rock. Just celebrated his 50th birthday. I mean, I'm ready to go. All right, here we go. Oh, wait, not new. Top. Oh. Can I just say, I feel like I got a bit of a headache after I just did that.
You shouldn't hit yourself in the head.
Yeah, I mean, that was El Cubano kicks us off. Hola, Ariel. One of my favorite friendships in the UFC takes center stage this weekend. Co-main and main event, Rose and Gaethje, still to this day. The video of Gaethje crying tears of happiness for Rose's win is still very much one of my favorite outside the octagon moments. Cornering both fighters is Trevor Whitman, and while he is known for containing his emotions in both victory and defeat, that doesn't mean he doesn't feel those emotions. Wow, we're getting deep here. My question is, if hypothetically Rose were to lose before the Gaethje fight, how do you think it would affect both Gaethje and Whitman's mindset heading into the main event? Viva Helwani. I mean, only they could truly know the answer to that. Trevor doesn't like to do a lot of media these days, unfortunately, so it's hard to really get into his brain. I would say it wouldn't affect Whitman all that much. I mean, Whitman is a pro. He's been around the fight game. He's been around boxing, MMA for quite some time. And they benefited from it in New York, and I think they are ready to deal with whatever consequences may come if it doesn't go their way on Saturday. But this is a big freaking deal for Gaethje. Remember, he lost the title fight to Khabib. Who knows how many other chances he gets to do this sort of thing, to fight for the belt. So I don't, again, speculating, but I don't think it would affect them all that much. Better odds, Rose wins versus Justin, though. Oh, wait. I wish there was a way to weed out the replies here. Better odds. Rose wins. Oh, okay. This is okay. Sorry. All right. Bonjour, Lord Ariel from Matmo. In Dragon Ball Z, there's an extraordinary place known as the hyperbolic time chamber. Once you enter the time chamber, for every one day that passes in the outside world, an entire year elapses in the chamber. The Z fighters use the room to train in preparation for much stronger foes when time is of the essence. My question is, if you had access to a hyperbolic time chamber, a room where you had essentially infinite time, void of family and work responsibilities, what would you use it for? P.S. I went ahead and edited Chris Cyborg's location of her first fight on Wikipedia. If you check it now, you will see it says Sao Paulo and no longer Curitiba. She had mentioned this on Monday's show after you looked it up. Long live the man of steel, Wani. Man, if you had access to a hyperbolic time chamber, a room where you had essentially infinite time, void of family and work responsibilities, what would you use it for? But why would I want to be alone without my family? Am I misreading this, Frank? Like, why would anyone want to go into a hyperbolic time chamber alone without family or work responsibilities? What would I do there?
You wait.
You just wait?
Yep.
No, but honestly, I don't really understand.
I think you have the right response, that you would rather be with your family.
Yeah. All right.
I think your family would appreciate it if you straightened up your microphone a little bit, though.
What's wrong with it? Oh.
Thank you.
What do you think, GC? I mean, I don't really get, a lot of people are saying this is a great question, and I just kind of feel like it's a very selfish thing to do.
What are you trying to accomplish going in there?
I don't know. He says that the Z fighters use this room to train in preparation for much stronger foes when time is of the essence. My question is, if you had access to a hyperbolic time chamber, a room where you had essentially infinite time void of family and work responsibilities, what would you use it for? I'd be depressed.
Well, when you come back out, it's still the same time.
Yeah, I know, but Well, like, what do you want me to do? Read a book? Like, what do you?
You don't think freezing time would be beneficial at all?
By myself? What's good? I mean,
There's no telling how long you have to stay in there.
yeah, but what good comes out of it?
Did you ever see Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
Where he like teaches himself to play piano and ice sculpture.
There's nothing you don't think you could accomplish by just
Tell me, what would
freezing
you
time?
what would you go and do?
Oh, man, I don't know. Maybe go in there and train.
Like,
I would focus on understanding why this is difficult for you to answer.
Yeah, I don't know.
like,
Learn
what do
a
you want me to do?
language?
You want me to just go in there and train?
You don't have to train. I don't know. I'd get jacked up. No work responsibilities.
I would sit and watch a bunch of movies.
You would sit and be excited to get out.
I'd be like, well, this is pretty damn boring. I could train in the outside world. What do I need to do it in here for?
But then time's going by.
I get it. I wish I did have enough. I'm really itching to get back to my boxing training. I boxed for a year before the pandemic, and then I stopped. But since I had COVID, which is, I guess,
what?
yeah, breaking news.
Real quick, this whole breaking news thing, it's like, even when I'm not on the show, someone's
Yeah.
like, oh man, that's breaking news. Like, I feel my finger.
Oh yeah.
I don't like it.
Oh, we talk about it all the time. I even reference you on other shows
I heard about
when
that.
I break news. Anyway, now I feel like I can go out there and train. Or box, I should say.
There you go. Go into the chamber and train boxing.
Okay, so Casey's giving me some good ones. 1 year is 1 day. You train, you learn every skill you ever wanted, play basketball with the best trainers, and lose no time. That's pretty damn good. I guess I'm just not that imaginative.
Yeah, I think you might have gotten that one right.
All right. Adrian, dear Ariel, greetings once again from London, Ontario, Canada. Firstly, I wanted to let you know that the interview between you and Eddie Hearn last week motivated me to watch Taylor Serrano. Wow. Which was one of the most spectacular and inspirational sporting events I've ever seen. Thank you for promoting this event. Well, you know, I wasn't the promoter of record, but I do appreciate you saying that I shined a light on this great matchup. I also thoroughly enjoyed your interview with Eddie this Monday. I was hoping to get your thoughts on his comments pertaining to being average. He had some great insight into the fact that by definition, the majority of people are average, and so this term should not be viewed as insulting. However, any person who is exceptional at something must at one point have been average at that thing before they pulled away from the pack. Correct. I actually don't view it as a massive insult unless you don't think that you are average. I think what he was trying to say was he was very bad at boxing, Jake was. Now he's gone up to average. Like, there's always going to be a process there, right? So I think he was trying to give him somewhat of a compliment, but I think Jake took it as you're just not that good. My question to you is, in your case, you are obviously an exceptional combat sports journalist. Thank you. My question to you is, when would you last consider yourself to have been an average journalist? I suspect it would have to have been over a decade ago, but I'm curious as to your thoughts. Additionally, what do you think you did career-wise that set you apart from the rest and led you to becoming exceptional in this field? As always, appreciate your valuable insights. I mean, golly, hard to answer this one without sounding like a raging egomaniac. I definitely think early in my career, I was a little too stiff. Here's the thing. It's hard for me to answer this question because I don't think that I'm spectacular. I actually would call myself average at this point. And that's not me being like, oh, you know, faux humble and all this stuff. So I don't really think that I won. I don't think that I've accomplished. I don't think that I've climbed the mountaintop, all these things. I've talked about the Forrest Griffin interview in 2008 now, where I got roasted for it because he kept like patting me on the back and touching my shoulders. And I did the Gina interview and I was not feeling too good about myself. And I just kind of decided to try to be myself as much as possible. And I think early on, I decided I'm not going to try to be like anyone else. I'm not going to try to put on a fake voice and be Mr. Journalist guy, Mr. TV guy, and just kind of be myself, like it or leave it. Like early on, people used to tell me, oh, your voice. When I went to work for Fox, one of the first things that they told me to do was go to a voice coach. And when the UFC was in LA for UFC on Fox 4, I went to a guy's house who was trying to teach me how to develop my voice. And that felt very unnatural to me. Either you like me or you don't. Either you like my voice or you don't. And obviously, I think I've gotten better at speaking and better at articulating, and at times speak a little slower, and you punctuate certain things and all this stuff. But I never wanted to change my voice because I'm not that guy. I'm not a play-by-play guy. I'm not a traditional journalist by any stretch. Of the way like people measure journalists. I'm not like Joe Buck. I'm not a play-by-play guy. I'm not a John Anik type. I'm not a Mike Goldberg type. I don't know. I'm just me. And I've just tried to go with that. But I appreciate the compliment, but it's hard for me to answer because I still do consider myself average. I still think that there's a lot more to do and a lot better stuff that can be done. Alton, just 2 questions today. Firstly, how true are those leaks from the War Room? Seem fairly convenient having those all-in-one shots. Fights like Paddy versus Ottman and Nate versus Khamzat don't make sense. So that interview was shot a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think that was done on purpose. I don't think that they were trying to leak. I just think that the way it was positioned and happened to be in the shot. I will be honest, I didn't really watch the whole thing. I saw the tweets, I saw the clips and all that stuff. I saw Jedi post the screen grabs. He's the best at that stuff, and everyone ran with it. But I will tell you this, I have heard of all those fights, and, Izzy versus Cannonier is all but done. It's just like a signature away from being done. I told you already that Jones versus Stipe is something that they wanted for July 30th. What else was on there? We've talked about Ankalaev versus Smith. Like, all these things were real. And I will say this, and let me just try to explain to people this, if I can. And I'm not trying to say like I'm some, fight whisperer, if you will. But more often than not, can I let you in on something? When I say something that is kind of an idea, it's more often than not, unless I explicitly say otherwise, it is rooted in fact. So a couple of weeks ago, I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Nate Diaz just says, you know what, give me Khamzat so I could get on my merry way. Remember when I said that? Now let's go back to the previous statement. More often than not, rooted in fact. Okay? Remember, I've said this a couple times now. So yeah, is it a done deal? No. Is there something there? Yeah, there is something there. But I don't know what's going to happen. Tell you what, a lot closer to happening than Jones versus Stipe right this second for July 30th. So it's going to be really interesting. And the only reason why the fight probably happens is at this point, maybe it just expedites things. And maybe he watched that fight against Gilbert and said, you know what, F it. Let's just take the fight and move on with our lives. Because Chael's right. It will take a lot, unless he gets knocked down in 10 seconds, it will take a lot to hurt his stock. And even if he does get knocked down in 10 seconds, I still think the Jake Paul fight is there. Second question from... And maybe he doesn't want the Jake. I'm just saying, I think there's still options for him out there. What's going to happen with Dean Barry? Surely he gets a second chance after them spending so long. Yeah, I think they just run it back with Mike Jackson. Will, hi Ariel. Finally got the Substack app, but you are the only person I subscribe to. Do you have any other recommendations of writers you enjoy, sports or otherwise? Will Leach, love his page. Jeff Pearlman, love his page. Mark Stein, love his page. Grant Wall, love his page. A lot of great writers with pages that I highly suggest checking out. Those are probably the top 4 for me. Newman. Hello, Ariel. Hello, Newman. First, I have to thank you for promoting. What? He was? Well, I asked New York Rick if he's going to be on today. He's like, no, I can't be on. So our gimmick of having him on during On the Nose was I thought it was going to be a thing. It lasts 1 week. Oh, and now he just tells me, this is why you have to be on. Frank, we have some breaking news. Literally 9 minutes ago, Damon Martin of MMA Fighting reported, along with Guilherme Cruz, that Dean Barry has been released from the UFC. What the hell? Jeez. What a saga. Ireland's going to be absolutely crushed. Well, thank you for this. I appreciate someone telling me so I don't look like a dolt. I would have gone with the rematch. Poor Dean Barry. I actually thought he looked pretty good before all the infractions. but maybe they just didn't love the way he handled it all. All right. So he says, thank you for the way you promoted it. I appreciate it. I was just trying to cover something that I was excited about. That's all. It exceeded the hype in every way and maybe the greatest boxing match I've ever seen. I actually didn't mind the 2-minute rounds because it was all action. That is true. Shout out to GC. Yesterday in your non-MMA Q&A, you mentioned Brendan Schaub as one of your favorite comedians. I saw that he recently put out a new comedy special, The Gringo Papi, which currently has a 1.1 rating out of 10 on IMDb. Have you seen it? And if so, what's your rating? I haven't gotten around to seeing all of it. I've seen a few clips. That was pretty good. I give it a solid 1.7. No, nothing. Frank, have you seen it?
No.
GC, have you seen it?
I've seen a few clips like you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the IMDb is tough look.
Not nice. Can I just say, I don't wish any harm on Brendan. I really don't. And I think we all need to try to get some hate out of our hearts. Like, I didn't like the things that he said about me last year, but I really don't root for his demise. I don't root against him. I don't root for his non-success, if you will, for his failures. There's enough for all of us to be successful, and I don't want anyone to be unhappy. Like, I saw the clip of him crying, and I saw people editing my stuff into that. Like, I don't know if he was crying because of that or because of other things going on, but I don't think we should root for anyone to be sad or to hurt anyone. So I know this is not going to make a lot of people happy, but I said what I had to say because I felt like I had to say it, but I see him coming out with that. I'm not rooting for it to be a failure, honestly. Robert Schmaltz. Peace, Ariel. Don't understand all the shade thrown New York Rick's way. Look, he could have been here to accept these flowers. The man is clearly a legit longtime hardcore fan of the sport. I mean, my man was correctly pronouncing Israel Adesanya's name back in the King of the Ring glory days, 2015-16. He's the only dude on the program I trust is consistently following MMA across the various promotions, not just the UFC. My bet, more than anyone else at the MMA Hour, New York Rick is hyped for 157 because not despite the card is top heavy on world-class Muay Thai and grappling, not just Bang Bros. My other bet, the New York Rick haters are mostly Johnny casuals hanging on to Connor tweets. Come on. Ariel, wouldn't you agree? New York Rick is the Michaels to your Hart, the Savage to your Hogan, the Muta to your Sting. People put some respect on New York Rick's name. But the thing is, like, those guys are rivals, right? Michaels, Hart, Savage, Hogan. I agree with everything you've said. And I do think that people like to poke New York Rick out of love, and he likes to poke them back, so it becomes a fun game. But make no mistake about it. I think that there is an infinite amount of respect there on both sides of the equation. I wish he was here to listen. I'm not reading your slacks, okay? Either you're here or you're not. Why couldn't you be here? If you could slack me, why could you not actually be on the horn and speak? This is crazy. I agree. Anyway, can anyone find out if Robert Schmaltz is New York Rick's burner account here? Because it seemed a little dicey.
Yeah.
Hey, Ariel. What's that?
We're on it.
Oh, thank you.
We're looking into it.
Just a food for thought. Could we keep chronological rather than top on the nose shouldn't be a popularity contest? I mean, every week, everyone's complaining about this. What do you want me to do? You want your question answered, wake up early and wait in line like the rest of us. That's fair.
Random picks.
Yeah, could do that. Alas, what's the best pizza topping? Wow. Jalapenos, pepperoni with ranch on the side. Ugh. Ranch? Disgusting. Let me tell you what's the best pizza topping. This was my go-to. Have we ever talked about this on the show? Go-to Sunday nights, green olives, not black. Hate black olives. There's like a different taste to it. They feel bland. Ugh. Green olives, salty, nice. And pineapple. What do you think, Frank?
Run that one back.
Green olives and pineapple.
That's a hard pass for me.
Come on. It's so good. It's a salty. It's a sweet. Oof. I could taste it in the back of my throat right now. It's like I'm getting that little feeling in the back of my throat right here. Green olives, pineapple. Have you ever tried this concoction?
No, but Yoon does put pickles on her pizza.
Pickles?
Yeah, it's like a Korean thing, apparently.
What?
She'll explain herself.
Wait a second.
Not on the top, on the side.
Oh, well, you see, I feel like Frank just misrepresented you there.
Yeah, you did.
By the way, is this on the air or off the air?
We went over this.
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
It's on the air.
Perfect. So what do? You take the pizza and then you have pickles on the side?
On the side. Yeah.
And you take like a bite of the pizza and then a bite of the pickles?
Yes.
Wow.
Correct.
That's a Korean thing?
Yeah.
Never heard of such a thing. Is it a sweet pickle or a sour pickle?
Just regular pickle.
And why don't you put the pickle on top of the pizza?
Some people doesn't like pickles, I think. That's
Yeah.
why.
I kind of feel like it would be fun to do that.
Yeah, it's good actually.
Wow. Frank, have you ever had pickles on your pizza?
So because of this, I made fun of it. I had a good laugh. And then I decided to...
You tried it?
Well, put it on a pizza sandwich that we got down the street.
And how was it?
Every time I get that pizza sandwich, I get pickles on it.
Wow.
So, look, you know what? Pizza with the pineapple and the olive, I'm going to do it this weekend.
Green olives, though. Don't get black.
No, look, I black olive without any problem. But I'll do the green olive. But I make no promises I'm going to enjoy it.
What's your go-to?
For me, it's mushrooms. Yep.
That was it? You took a big
Pretty
sigh
much.
in the midst of the mushroom.
Because it's really like mushrooms and then anything else is okay. But as long as the mushrooms are there.
Okay. What about you, GC?
So I'm actually pineapple as well, but pineapple and bacon. Not Canadian bacon, real bacon.
Can't do it. We can't have pizza together. Unless we go halvesies.
I'll go for your green olives. I can live with the green olives.
Have you had it?
I haven't. No, I've never done green olives and pineapple. But pineapple is my favorite pizza topping, which I'm sure I'll get slammed.
Why are people
for.
so anti? Like I see it in people's Twitter bio. I don't put pineapple on my pizza. Like, really? You feel that strongly? The people who are anti-pineapple on pizza are generally the people who don't like when I say I like my steaks well done.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that one a little more.
Come on. Different strokes, different folks. Anyway, anyone out there, try it. It's tremendous. By the way, the bacon, I'm assuming, is salty, so you kind of get the same type of thing from it, the salty and the sweet.
Exactly, yeah.
Good morning, Ariel. This is from Dan. You mentioned Buffalo Wild Wings the other week. Did I? I don't remember mentioning them. And so everyone doesn't experience the same traumas I did. They do not show pay-per-views anymore. Found out right before it was going to start last time. Oh, man. You should 100% be leading the charge on the MMA Hall of Fame creation. You are the only person I trust to create it with a sense of integrity. All right. I would like to do it. There's many things I would like to do. I want to buy a Westphalia, and I want to start an MMA Hall of Fame. These are my bucket list items in my 40s that I'd like to accomplish. Jose, greetings, Ariel. Uh-oh. Oh, man. This is a bummer. From Jose, greetings, Ariel. It is with such sadness I report the passing of my father, who passed away this Monday due to cancer. Antonio loved boxing and promised me he would attend this upcoming fight involving Canelo Bivol. Now I'm left with an empty seat. Oh, man. I'm sorry. Following up on my take from the beginning of the year, is it safe to say my prediction for the best fights in combat sports history is living up to the expectations? With Fury White, Tank Rowley, Spence Ugas, Taylor Serrano, Fandora Lubin, Triple G Murata, etc., and MMA as well. How's the follow-up hot take? Well, first of all, I mean, my sincerest condolences to your family, to yourself. I'm really sorry to hear that, and I think it would be a beautiful gesture if you're still able to go to the fight and have the empty seat next to you in honor of your father. If he was such a big boxing fan, I know that would be very, very hard, but symbolically, hopefully he's able to watch it with you in some way, shape, or form. And to your other point, yeah, boxing's been amazing. This is what I've been trying to say. And don't forget about the Mick Conlon fight not that long ago. I mean, there's been an incredible streak of fights almost every weekend. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Devin Haney coming up with George Kambosos, Rowley and Tank, as you mentioned, in Brooklyn. But much love to you and your family, Jose. Eric, Ariel, on Monday you said that Cheeto Vera seems like a fun guy to smoke the devil's lettuce with. I know you don't partake in the sticky icky much these days. Yes, the last time I did, I was at a baseball game in my early 20s, and Brad Wilkerson was walking up to the plate, and I turned to my friend Brandon Spark, who listens to this segment every single week, and I do want to say hello to him. He's not even an MMA fan. I don't even think he watches MMA, but for some reason he likes this segment. He is the owner of Naked and Famous Denim. Are you familiar with this brand, Frank? Great jeans, Naked and Famous.
Never heard of it.
GC.
I've also never heard of them.
Well, you guys, they specialize in. I'm gonna mess this up. Japanese selvage denim. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, Wilkerson hit a grand slam walk off. I had to do it. I know you don't partake, but can you name 4 other fighters that you think it would be fun to share a doobie with? The mysterious Frank of pulling mischievous pranks, Eric. Gosh. Well, Cheeto's there because I said it. I mean, I feel like Nathan has to be in the mix, right? Nathan and Nick, that would be fun. Who else? Who am I missing here? Rampage? Who am I missing? Izzy. I think Izzy would be a fun one. Max Holloway. He would be a fun one. Brandon Moreno. He'd be a fun one. Colby. No, I'm just joking. Derek Lewis. That's the one. He'd be a fun one as well. Oh no, did I screw this up? Sorry.
What happened?
I screwed it up, but I'm back. Hey, Ariel, once again, I'm on top of the ladder building a movie set. So the news, Diaz, this is Dirty Prop Maker. He actually builds movie sets. With the news, Diaz might fight Khamzat. How much of a chance do you really think he has? I'm a huge Diaz fan, but I feel that fight will be a one-way beatdown. I think he has a solid chance. Look, people are forgetting that they offered this fight to him in October. Maybe he saw something in that Gilbert fight, or maybe he's just had enough and recognizes that. I still don't understand why he couldn't have the Poirier fight. I mean, obviously, look, if they make this fight, it means one of two things. Either A, he's had enough, or B, they're not coming to terms and they want to give him the toughest fight out. And they were always going to do that because that's why they offered him that fight back in October. Now, do they ultimately agree to him leaving after this fight? Do they make it super hard for him? There's a bunch of things that they can do. There's going to be a 90-day exclusive negotiation period, and they could drag that out. I mean, it's not like he's going to get that fight July 2nd and be able to walk out unless they actually negotiate that. So this saga, if this is in fact the end, is going to drag on for quite some time. Good day, MMA Hour crew. If Charles beats Justin, next would likely be the Benil Islam winner. Would a Khabib return be inevitable if Charles beats the opponent, or strictly only if Islam, or is that not even enough to get a return? I feel like the more and more we move away, it's going to be tough. But no, I mean, he's still young and he didn't take a lot of damage. So never say never. Certainly not in combat sports. Likely Kamaru return day. Lately, I've been hearing August potentially, but not 100% just yet. Donovan, greetings once again from Ottawa, Canada. Last week, you asked for some spicier questions. So here goes. All right. Boxing has been criticized throughout the years for fixing the careers of many of their top stars in lacking true best versus best matchups. It worries me that the recent placements of Paddy the Baddy, Sean O'Malley, and Ian Gary are following in the same path on the MMA side. They don't have real contender potential, but the UFC will curate matchups in order to put them in a place to succeed. I understand that they have a business responsibility to milk these promotional cash cows for as long as they can, but it sucks for MMA purists and has some dangerous implications. Now, I will say, Ian Gary, Paddy the Baddy, not the same thing. Ian's way younger than Paddy. Paddy's been around way. I don't think you can criticize the way they've been booking Ian. If you want to criticize the Paddy one, fine, but the Ian one, not fair. O'Malley, been a little slower, but that changes July 2nd. He's fighting Pedro Munoz. So it worries me that the same strategy will bleed into fights at the championship level, see Conor McGregor, and we'll lose the truly competitive matchups of interest in the interest of profit. Do you worry that the UFC will start to go down the same path that boxing has in years? They've already done that. There was once a time where Dana would say like, hey, we're not going to do a one-fight card and we're not going to water down our product. They do one-fight cards and they have watered down their product. Now they're extremely successful, so God bless. But a lot of the things that he said he wouldn't do, he has done. Interim titles, instituting that, all this stuff and more. So that ship has sailed. You have to be smart. It wouldn't be smart to put Ian Gary in there with some veteran. Wouldn't be smart. Now, you can make the case that Paddy, because he's been around a lot longer, should be fighting someone else. Sure. But it wouldn't be smart to put him in there against some veteran. No way. I don't really have an issue with the way they booked Ian, Sean, and I really don't have an issue with the way they book Patty as well, especially for 12 and 12. Why should Patty be fighting top tier guys? Now, I'm sure that's going to change the next time he fights, but so far, with 2 fights in the can. Bawani Ariel from Abai. 2 questions. Nathan and Dustin want to fight. Is he being forced to now fight Chimaev? It's not that he's being forced. This is who they offered. And, there's a scenario where it's like, all right, you want me to fight this guy? Then let me out afterwards. He could have fought Dustin over the last 4 or 5 months, and they just weren't offering that fight. That's why I keep saying this has been a travesty. That's why I keep getting frustrated about this, because this guy's been healthy. Did you hear what Joe Lozon said at the top? Sean Shelby calls him up and says, hey, I got to give you 3 fights. Are they doing that with Nate? No. Why? That's my question. Why aren't they doing that with Nate? At this point, I'm almost tired of talking about it because it feels like I'm the only one talking about it and raising a stink, and then everyone's like, oh, you're being a hater. But why can't it just be fair for everyone? Why does it have to be like this? Again, you would never hear of someone in boxing, and I'm not trying to say that boxing is unicorns and rainbows, but if Canelo wants to fight, he is fighting on May 5th weekend. If Katie Taylor wants to fight, she is fighting. If Anthony Joshua wants to fight, he is fighting. If Fury wants to fight, he is fighting. No one's sitting him on the sidelines. And that's a huge, huge thing. So you could sit there and talk about these guys being overpaid, and you could sit there and talk about boxing being broken and the model being broken and whatnot. There is a hell of a lot more freedom and money to be made if you are a boxer. I can't understand how anyone can argue otherwise, honestly. And I can't understand how anyone can sit there and listen to someone say this with a straight face and not question it. Why do you think all the MMA fighters are trying to go over to boxing? And not just the young ones, the established ones, because they see what's on the other side of the fence. Why do you think Kamaru Usman, the pound-for-pound best fighter, is trying to get a boxing match with Canelo? Not an MMA fight with Canelo, a boxing match with Canelo. Why is Chris Cyborg campaigning for a boxing match? Not an MMA fight, a boxing match. Why did Conor do it? Why is Francis talking about it? Have you asked yourself these things? Is Paulo Costa trying to get cut? I don't know what's going on with Costa's his Twitter. It's very, is he the one tweeting this stuff? It's all very weird. Hey, Ariel, have you heard any updates about if Spence versus Crawford will come sometime this year? God, I hope so. Last weekend should have proven that when the best fight the best, magic happens, everyone wins, everyone gets an opportunity to make a lot of money and get a lot of attention and notoriety. I hope so, but I've not heard anything on it. Hello, Ariel. Would you ever smoke weed with Nate Diaz if the opportunity presented itself? No, probably not. Micro Panda, it's 1999. LeBron is a freshman in high school. Instead of practicing free throws, he joins a local MMA gym. It's now 2022. How is his MMA career going? Great response here by Keith. LeBron is worth almost $900 million. Hard to imagine he sniffs 1/10 of that in fighting. But I imagine a ton of those elite athletes in other sports would be great at MMA if the pay was equal and they started young. Yeah, I think he would be great. He's a freaking beast. The guy's 265 pounds, and he's running around like he's 135 pounds. Big money. Hey, Ariel, it seems like there is always talk of MMA versus boxing crossovers where the MMA fighter usually has to accept the terms of the traditional boxer in order to make it happen. Yeah, because there's more money there. We hardly ever see the boxer willing to embrace the idea of competing in MMA. Yeah, because you're stripping down all these things for one thing. Easier to do that for the MMA fighter than for the boxer to add all these other skills that he just doesn't have or she doesn't have. The narrative of who really is the best gets pushed, and minor rule changes like smaller gloves, ring versus cage, weight allowance are suggested to make it a more interesting matchup. Although my question may be a bit simple and obvious, I'm still curious. Instead of a weird hybrid like triad, why not have the two compete in kickboxing? Because again, the boxer doesn't know how to do that. Wouldn't this be the most even playing field for both athletes? Sure, but like Canelo doesn't know how to kick. Fury has done, a little bit of that, but there's no need for them to do that. Why risk it? Is there a more misleading term in MMA than significant strikes? Last weekend's Font versus Vera fight, supposedly in that fight, Font landed 271 to Vera's 159, yet Font looked like he was in a horror movie. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, again, with all these things, you can't just go by those numbers. You have to watch the fight. I thought Vera won fair and square. You can't just go by those numbers. It's not a box score. Can't just pick it up and be like, oh, Durant had 35 points. Awesome. He played great. Doesn't work that way. Hello, hello. Hey, Ariel, what was your favorite entrance music in wrestling growing up? A few classics that stand out are Hogan, When It Comes Crashing Down and It Hurts Inside. Ultimate Warrior, Mr. Perfect was tremendous. I was never a Warrior fan, but boy, would I love to see Hamzat and Till walk out to the Outsiders, Ready or Not entrance song. Bret the Hitman Hart. Razor Ramon was tremendous. Kurt Angle back in the day was great. Pre the You Suck era. We Are the Nation of Domination. What else? Yeah, Bret Hart was my favorite. No doubt about it. Nothing would get me more hyped than that. Fabricio, my dog Ariel, you know the vibes. Poppy live up in this. I watched the Pivot podcast with Dana, and I couldn't believe the foolishness I heard when Dana said that boxers were overpaid to try to justify UFC fighter pay. What are your thoughts on this? Also, tell us, what's the one fight out of the leaked fight news that you're most excited about? I'd love to see Jones versus Stipe. I would love to see that. This is the quote, by the way. Just so we have it for the record. This is the quote right here. Where is it? One of the big problems with and the quote goes in many different directions. One of the big problems with boxing, too, is that all those effing guys are overpaid. And every time they put on a fight, it's a going out of business sale. We're just trying to get as much effing money as we can from you guys. And then we're out of here. We'll see you in 3 years. You can't build a league like that. You can't build a sport like that. You can't have 750 fighters under contract. They don't. Making money, feeding their families every year with that kind of mentality, it doesn't work. You have to run a business. So I would ask this, how long has Bob Arum been in business for? How long has Matchroom been in business for? How long has Al Heyman been in business for? How long has Queensberry been in business for? Now, of course, some have come and gone. Lou DiBella, he's still around as well. But a lot of these guys have been around for decades. Now, what about an MMA? The Prides of the world, the IFLs of the world, the Afflictions of the world, the Elite XCs of the world, the Strike Forces of the world. A lot of MMA promotions have come and gone. Doesn't that give you a little bit of pause? And here at the beginning of the statement, he's talking about them being overpaid, but then he's talking about how to build a league. And then he says you can't have 750 fighters under contract making money, feeding their families every year with that kind of mentality. And so why then do you see fighters who say, I don't have enough money to train full time. I need this second job. I need a GoFundMe page to pay for expenses and all this stuff. If everything's hunky-dory. Now, he could be talking to promoters only and say, hey, this is the way you have to do it. If you want to save some money, if you don't want to go broke, this is the way you have to do it. And again, I've always compared the MMA model to the wrestling model. MMA is a lot closer to pro wrestling than it is boxing. There's one dominant league. They rule with an iron fist. They get to say, what the standards are. They get to set those rules. And then there's other people coming up, right? In boxing, it's a much more fragmented, much more fighter-friendly situation if you're able to reach the top. It's completely different. There is no apples to apples. There's no equal in boxing to MMA. Not even a Matchroom. Because a Matchroom, look at Devin Haney's situation. Devin Haney was with Matchroom. Devin Haney had to leave Matchroom to go sign with Top Rank and DiBella in order to get the Kambosos fight. And sign a 2-fight deal with them because if he wins, he gets an immediate rematch, and then maybe he could go back to Matchroom. He loves Matchroom. He loves Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn was happy about it, but ultimately gave him the blessing because you want to get the title. Look at Canelo. Canelo went to Showtime to get another belt and now went back to DAZN and Eddie Hearn. This can't happen. AJ McKee can't say, hey, hold up, Scott Coker. Let me just go fight Volkanovski real quick right over here. I'll win this belt and I'll go over there. Volkanovski can't say, hey, hold up. Let me go fight Pitbull real quick. I'll win that belt on Showtime and it's apples to oranges. But I can tell you what, Talk to 23-year-old Devin Haney about how much he makes. Talk to Shakur Stevenson about how much he makes and compare it to people his age in the world of MMA, in the UFC. Talk to Tank Davis about how much he makes. Talk to Ryan Garcia about how much he makes. Seems like they're doing okay. Seems like they're doing just fine. Talk to Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano about how much they made on Saturday night. Honestly, the part that I was taken aback by in this particular interview is like, you're talking to NFL players, former NFL players who are products of an association, a system where the players are taken care of, to a certain degree. I know there's no guaranteed contracts in the NFL. And you're talking there to a guy, if you were talking to an NFL owner who was saying the same thing about NFL players, that you are overpaid, that you aren't worth as much as you are getting, because then there is no return on the investment. You cannot live, you cannot thrive for 30 years or so. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that? And how would you feel if you're a UFC fighter listening to that? How would you feel? GC tells me he has this clip from Tony Ferguson earlier today. GC?
Is it a little more exciting to fight the guy with Dana White privilege, right? I mean, you nailed it with him.
I don't think that shit's very funny.
No?
You do, maybe.
I thought that the moniker was good. I thought it was pretty enjoyable.
I don't think it's very funny. So, I mean, everybody's looking at it and they're smiling, they're laughing at it, but nobody's saying shit. So, I'm a kid that's up here with Dana Brown privilege, I guess, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't think it's very funny anymore. And neither do you guys. I don't think you guys should think that's very funny. So I'm taking this weekend very fucking seriously. So I'll kick this Dana White boy's ass.
Chip on your shoulder then? Is this personal?
No, nothing personal against Chandler, but I'm going to be real. I'm tired of the retaliation tactics from the company.
Oh, that's it? Was it just that clip?
No, we got the 8-minute one if you want to dive into it.
Was it the longer version of that? I mean, I was compelled right there. I kind of want more, if I'm being honest.
All right, let's run the 8-minute one.
All right, let's go.
I mean, this has obviously been a very long break for you. Was that purposeful or was that...
Oh, you guys are listening
shout out to
now.
Shaheen.
That's interesting. That's cool. This is why I haven't done any interviews. This is why I just kept my mouth shut for a long time. A lot of fighters have been keeping their mouths shut for a long time. You should ask some of the other fighters that have been fucking treated like shit for a long time, too. So I'm not the only one thinking it or fucking saying it or seeing it. So maybe you should ask them, too. Said, come Saturday night, everybody's fortunate that you have warriors going out there and doing their job. I think we're underpaid, personally. I'm going to be real. I'm not going to say it too much. You know, I mean, Dana said something the other day, and I put it on. It's on my phone. I think it was MMA Fighting actually reposted it, talking about how boxers are overpaid. I asked Dana to box. He said, fuck no. I'm like, why? I wanted to go play, I want to go play baseball. I want to go do other pro sports. I'm an athlete. I grew up playing different different sports at a very high level. We're in a state championship football ring right here. We were 27-1. I come from Grand Valley State University as a wrestler. I want to go do, pro wrestling. I got Brock, Uncle Brock, that's right there watching me. I want to go do all these couple things, but then I have this guy right here acting like a fucking drug dealer telling me I can't go and do this shit. I want to go make more money for my family. I'm watching Embedded, and I see what Brian T. City, and I see his agent up there, and he's like, oh, and he was funny because he made a joke where he was like, oh, you're making money now. And he talked about his agent, and he's like, where you getting your money? There's too many levels of things right here where I got pissed off at, and I had to kind of put that besides me. You make your money by winning. You make your money by showing up, winning, and having good performances. Right now, I guess we're getting paid crypto, I guess, huh? They're following everybody's suit. They're kind of waiting for everybody to speak up. They're waiting for everything else like that. I'm waiting for insurance. I've been competing in this sport for a long time. I took a bad fall at Fox. They took my title from me. I don't even have to go into the Miller Ayala Act, where an agent is not supposed to be competing in the same sport as you. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So, I mean, when it comes down to that, and then I'm going to get stripped of my title because I fucking took a bad fall in an accident, I should have sued. But what I did is I felt good for my company. I wanted to be the man. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I fucking could do this stuff without anybody else's help. So that's a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, you know what I mean? To kind of keep coming here and smiling and being used to be on a poster and to have that high value. When I saw that UFC didn't think my value was that high, I had to increase it in other ways, which was through social media. And through social media, I did it really organic, didn't pay for anything. I went through there and I had fun and showed my plants, and overnight I made 1 million followers. And even overnight again made like another 2. Then I stopped. I stopped caring about it because I was just like, you know what, why am I doing all of this? It's not gonna do anything for me. But then I realized I was getting these emails from these people from all over the world saying that I saved their life, that they didn't want to kill themselves, that they found themselves in bad territories, that they didn't. And I'm not the only one. I guarantee you there's a lot of fighters that get these emails. But it's incredible. And so all those guys that are out there watching and listening, and you kind of hear me getting pissed off all the time, it's cool, it's fun, I'm all right, okay, we're gonna be okay. You know, it's okay to get mad once in a while, but you have to channel that shit in the right way. When you channel in the right way, good things happen. You win championships. You go out there and you have victories, and then you end up building your fan base. So, yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to follow up on that. I mean, do you feel like you're being stifled? Like, it feels like you're almost kind of over it, but maybe conflicted about that?
Nah, like I said, I had a nice 1.5 years to think about everything. It's kind of like being put on restriction a little bit. You know what I mean? Just kind of had time to sit there and just kind of thinking what I wanted to do. And during the time I shouldn't have fought, I was injured. You know, when after that Gaethje fight, I broke my toe. I didn't even know I broke my foot. And I was so injured on my legs, I didn't even want to go down. I didn't get knocked down. I kept fighting through that. I thought about Jesus, man, carrying the fucking cross, and that dude would not quit. Every single time that they would beat him down, he would get back up and he would keep moving forward. I was thinking that whole entire time when Charles had my arm out like that, I was like, he didn't tap. And I remember my kid, he had his arm hyperextended, you know, one time, and I was like, hey, careful, you know, I was like, you don't want to hurt yourself, but he's naturally like that. So when I'm in the fight, I'm thinking about my son. I'm thinking about my arm. I'm like, go ahead, break the fucker. I was like, 'cause I'm going to beat you with it. And in the third fight with Dariush, it was the same way. These were all tests and mental battles that I went through because I wasn't ready to win yet. I wasn't ready to have that championship belt. I wasn't mentally there yet. I redid my house, and I had to build another spot so I could think of things that I wanted to do and accomplish. You know, in high school, there was these guys at All State on the wall, and I was like, I walked through there, and I'm like, man, I want to be one of those guys. Do that, All State, win state, get to college. Hey, get called in, and I see these names on the wall for national champions, All-American. Huh, I want to do that. That looks really cool. I go do that. 2-time All-American national champ. Captain of a 2-time national championship team. And I was like, okay, what's the next step? Go to the UFC. They built a Performance Institute. They built that. They saw that we needed something like that, which is great. Then they put the things up on the wall that said Hall of Fame. I said I wanted to do that. What did I do? Still not in the Hall of Fame yet, but I'm meriting my credentials, right? I think I'm pretty much in there. So I had to kind of think again. And I was like, I got a belt, an intern belt. And then they wanted me for a fight for another intern belt. I was like, well, I already have one of those. It's kind of selfish for me to not just, have one. I don't want 2 intern belts. I have one, but it was a championship belt because through the stuff it should have went. I don't have to go back on the Miller Ayala Act, but, I will. And then I had to think about it again. I saw the new belt, and I was like, I got treated like shit for a long time. Kind of don't really want it. It was like a Cracker Jacks prize. Kind of like, well, looks kind of fake to me. It wasn't the classy kind of shit, but then I had to readjust my thinking. I had to build something so that way I had space on my shelf to be able to put something new. So that's what I have. I have space on my shelf, and I looked at it a couple of days and, walked past it, look at it again, and I look, and I'm like, man, there's empty there. Because I need something to be put there. I was like, it'd be kind of nice to put a belt right there. And I started kind of getting hungry again, kind of figuring it out, putting things together like a puzzle. Then it started and it clicked. So I'm a straight shooter now, man, and everything's pretty cool. So this camp, I'm very fortunate to be able to put things together and structure the shit out of myself. In my other interview, I said I had too many main ideas. But it's good to multitask like that, because I can multitask on 3 computers, like no problem. But to be able to write a central paper and put one central idea as a main heading and be able to write everything around it, that was the hard part. So I have that now. I put that that structure towards where I need it to go, and I want that belt. It's kind of cool, and I want to add some rubies to it. So it is my prerogative and it is my priority to go out there and make sure my hand gets raised on Saturday.
The end of your deal, like, is this the last fight?
Nah, I got a bunch, man. I'm gonna be real. I'm willing to be able to fight it out, to go out there and not be held under. Like I said, like I'm gonna be real. Like the promoters here, they act like drug dealers sometimes. You know what I mean? They just throw down a couple bucks here and there, and you're like, come here, kid, come here, kid, come here, kid. Here, take this, take this, take this, take this. And if you don't have the will to say no to that stupid shit, you're gonna get fucked. I mean, I've seen like Terrence McKinney is the same fucking way, and a couple other people. You know what I mean? Like, and even for me to go out there, and then I had to say no a couple times. You know, I had to fucking ignore Dana's call once during the pandemic. I'm chilling, man. I'm skateboarding. Why? Because you know what? You didn't answer my phone call. It's not going to be about that because I'm having fun. I'm doing something for myself, which is cool. And it took a long time to be able to think about myself like that because the company for a long time, they treated me like shit. You know, and that's a lot of underlying stuff. You know what I mean? So, you know, you talk about event ops, you know, they're trying to, you know, come out here and search for me to sign my fucking contract. And I'm like, you guys are sweating bullets, huh? Well, that's how you guys make me feel sometimes. So it's not fair.
Damn, that is powerful stuff from Tony Ferguson. That was earlier today, courtesy of MMA Fighting. They were at the media day. Shout out to Shaheen Al-Shadi, who was there. I heard his voice. I believe Jose Youngs is there too from the team here at MMA Fighting, other journalists as well. I don't think people sometimes understand how tough it must be to be up there at a UFC event and speak like that. You see it a little more now these days. And let's just be very clear. We all love mixed martial arts. We all love the UFC fighters out there, and the UFC is a brand. Without them, there is no MMA Hour. I don't have a career covering the sport that I've devoted my life to covering and all this stuff. If you don't love it, it's impossible to fake it. It's impossible to still be here after all these years. But when you hear things like that, when you start to hear of more stories, it's heartbreaking. And I don't know how you can feel any other way. I don't know how you can ignore that. When you see a guy like Tony Ferguson, who has given so much to the sport, who has been dealt a bad hand a few times over the years, and that's being kind, feel like that towards the tail end of his run, it's not the way it should be. And it's becoming a lot more of the norm than it should be. It's not an anomaly. He's not an anomaly. And that bumps me out. And again, I can, God bless the people who can sit back and have their little fight parties and drink their beer and order their pizza and have their wings and not care about any of this because you have your own lives and your own jobs and this isn't what you have devoted your life to, so you're not entrenched in it and you don't follow it as much and you're not aware of it. God bless you and enjoy it. And bet on your fights and all this stuff. And campaign for the best to fight the best. And campaign for Ngannou to re-sign so that he can fight John Jones and do all that you want to do that makes you happy. But over here, I can't ignore this. And I have to talk about this. And I have to shine a light on this. And I would say the same about any Bellator fighter who says this. And I would say the same about any PFL fighter or any MMA fighter that says this or any fighter period that says this. We don't realize what these men and women go through. And I sometimes hear people say like, oh, they're getting paid $24K for a 2-minute fight. Do you realize what the 2-3 months leading up to that 2-minute fight are like for them? Do you realize what goes on in their brains? Do you realize what goes on in their head? Do you realize what sleeping is like, the anxiety is like, the buildup is like, the training is like, the stress on your body physically, mentally is like? Like, to say that just proves that you don't appreciate what they do. And it's just hard to see them in that state talking like that. And I know Tony's no saint, and I know he's, you know, had his mishaps here and there, but he's speaking on behalf of a lot of people, a lot of fighters. And so on the flip side, when you hear the quote-unquote best promoter in the game speaking like, hey, fighters in boxing, boxers are overpaid. If you're a UFC fighter, how would that make you feel? I know it wouldn't make me feel too good. And it's based on what? Because I just saw 94,000 people at Wembley. Who's overpaid then? And I see a sold-out MSG and I see a sold-out T-Mobile. Who's overpaid? And I see all these promoters still in business. And I see all these fighters with their own sponsors and with a bigger piece of the pie. And again, boxing ain't perfect, but when it comes to pay, Give me that model over the MMA model any day of the week. Any day of the freaking week. We'll leave it at that. UFC 274 is this weekend. It's going to be great. And I hope they promote it up the wazoo. And I think Rose Namajunas should be a massive star. And I think she should be getting 7 figures for this fight. And I think Carla as well. And I hope Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira, who are headlining, get that 7-figure payday too. Regardless of all that, if you're the type that just loves the sport and just loves the drama and just loves the build-up and just loves the card and loves the Saturday night, God bless. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it, and I look forward to talking about it all on Monday.